Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at a couple of new thermal compounds on the market from Akasa. This is the Thermal Compound Prograde Plus, the T5 range, and also we've got the T5 Essential. Keep watching to find out how well they do against some of the market leaders. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at a couple of new thermal compounds from Akasa. It's actually been sent to us free of charge for review purposes, so do take that into consideration. They haven't told us to say anything and literally just sent them and said, try them out, see what you think of them, and let us know your opinion. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. They won't be seeing this content before it goes out to you guys, so you're all going to be seeing it at exactly the same time. So you'll see the pros, the cons, and actually you possibly will be surprised at the one that I claim to be the absolute winner overall. It's not the one you think it's going to be. Anyway, with that in mind, let's get straight into it. So first of all, let's take a look at the packaging, see what we actually get. So this is the Akasa Thermal Compound Essential T5. This is a nice little retail kit that you get. It's got all the information on there. You get a spreader in there, which is always a nice thing to have, and you also get 2 wipes as well. So for cleaning your CPU before you apply new compounds, that's always really nice to see. As you'd expect with a relatively high-end compound, this has got all those usual things, so it is non-electrical, so you can get it on electrical components, and it is not going to be conductive, probably the word I should have used, and it's non-curing as well, so it should last an extremely long time. They don't actually say how long it's likely to last. They've left that down to the individual to kind of work out, and obviously depending on the kind of load it's under, that is going to bear on it a little bit. But it's useful for CPUs, GPUs, and basically any means of conducting a thermal load from one place to another. On the back of the packaging, it gives you some more information, and also there's a QR code. I'll give you a close-up of that as well, and also I'll give you a close-up of the specifications. Essentially, the T5 Essential is giving you like 4 watts of thermal transfer power, so that's watts per meter Kelvin, and the T5 Prograde Plus, that's giving you 5.2 watts. So essentially they're very similar in terms of what you actually get in the packaging. So let's go through the first one. This is the Essential. So all you do is open up the packaging here. So in the packaging, you get a leaflet which gives you installation guide or instructions in basically multilingual. The English instructions are actually on the packaging itself. You also get included a 5-gram syringe of the thermal compound there. Nice, easy to open lid. Just twists off, give you access to it, so that's excellent. Doesn't look like it's going to get stuck very easily, so that's very useful and should have some of that anti-caking properties. So nice size syringe. You also get inside the pack, you get 2 of these wipes, so little packet wipes, kind of like alcohol-based wipes for cleaning the surface of the intended victim. When you actually get the thermal paste out, you can use one of these spreaders, so you get a little plastic spreader or spatula included. And actually, when it comes down to spreading, I've actually tried this already, the paste itself, this one, I really like it. Now this is the cheaper one of the 2. So this at the moment retails on Amazon.co.uk for around about £6.90 for a 5-gram tube, which actually I think is a pretty reasonable price. And actually I'll put the pricing on the screen of all 4 of the ones I've tested today. So we're looking at Arctic's MX4, Arctic's MX5, we've got the T5 Essential and the T5 Prograde Plus. Now you'll see the pricing, if you work it out gram per gram, actually not bad at all, and certainly considering how well this performs, I've given it away slightly there, but actually I think this is really good value for money. One of my favourite things about this particular one, the Essential, is how easy it is to use. So if you're somewhat of a newbie and you're not entirely keen on spreading your thermal compound around, some of the compounds can be quite sticky and quite gloopy. This one actually, to me, has a fantastic consistency. And as you've probably seen or have seen from the footage which we're showing, it spreads really, really nicely, and it's got a really nice thin consistency, so it spreads out very easily. So that is the T5 Essential. So let's take a look at the Prograde Plus. Now essentially this is exactly the same packaging, so there's going to be no real surprises in here. You get exactly the same thing, so you get the 5-gram syringe again, slightly different colour packaging, so it gives you an idea between the 2. So you get 5 grams in there. You also get exactly the same deal, so you get 2 of the wipes included. You also get another one of their branded spreaders, and also there is the multilingual instruction, which I'm not going to try and fight and get out. So that's what we actually get in the packaging. I should actually mention as well, when it comes to the kind of spreadability or ease of use, I would say the thermal compound, the T5 Prograde Plus, even though this is the enhanced model and is slightly more expensive, it's somewhere around the £9 mark here in the UK on Amazon.co.uk, This for me actually was quite difficult to use. Now, Akasa probably aren't going to like me saying that, but actually when it comes to ease of use, I think the Essential one is probably the way to go. This one does actually require a little bit more manipulation and doesn't spread anywhere near as easily as the Essential version, although it does have a better performance, so swings and roundabouts. So as I alluded to at the beginning of the video, so we are comparing these two against some of what I would consider the market leaders. So we've got Arctic's MX4 and also we've got Arctic's newer MX5. Now the same applies actually with those. The MX4 I would say is probably the slightly easier to use. The MX5 is a little bit more gluey and a little bit more gloopy. And actually one of the things I have noticed already in doing the testing and having to remove the cooler, which I should point out, is the Noctua NHU12S, and the processor we've been using is a Ryzen 9 3900. I've actually found that MX4, MX5 and also the Prograde Plus, those are the three which actually caused me more problems actually trying to remove the cooler after, rather than the Essential. So again, ease of use wise, the Essential at the moment is the all-out winner. But how well does it do in terms of thermal performance and also overall CPU performance? Well, let's take a look at the graphs. So starting off on the graph, as you can see, so this is precision boost overclocking is on the processor. We've got all the fans in the computer set at 100% and Ryzen 9 3900 drawing roughly about 143 watts of power. Ambient room temperature for this particular test was 23.5 degrees. So if you take that off of the temperatures a little bit later on, that'll give you your deltas. But at the moment we're looking at the actual scores in Cinebench R23. So as you can see, actually, most of them are bunched up together. The one that does stand out in front in this particular instance is the Arctic MX5. I'm not entirely sure why. It did score particularly well, around about 100 points above what the Akasa T5 Prograde Plus did. I did do the test over and over repeatedly, around about 3 or 4 times. Sometimes I did actually do it a 5th or 6th time just to see kind of, is it something I'm doing? Is it a background task? That kind of thing. And obviously with Windows being Windows, you can never quite tell. But anyway, the scores are, as you can see, so coming in last was Arctic's MX4 with 17,833. Next up, we've got the Akasa T5 Essential with 17,849, so very close. Coming up in second place, we've got the Akasa T5 Prograde Plus with a score of 17,896. And the overall winner in this particular round was Arctic's MX5 with a score of 18,119. Again, not entirely sure how to explain it. The Arctic MX5 did seem to be considerably better. There may well be an issue with my mounting on that. I did try it again and I got very similar results. So again, I think these results are pretty much as fair as I can make them. Obviously, this is not an extremely technical thing to do. We basically put the paste on, spread it, put the cooler on and hit go on Cinebench, and these are the results we got. So your mileage may vary slightly, but if you're using exactly the same system as me, you should find these results to be particularly reliable. So testing in Cinebench is one thing, but the thing which we're really more concerned about is actually temperatures, because that is the nature of TIM, or thermal interface material. It's designed to transfer heat away from one source and transfer it into another. So as you can see from the graph here, so lower is better, and as you can see in last place on this particular test, although they are pretty well bunched up, was the T5 Essential with 38.1 degrees. Then we've got Arctic's MX4 at 37.8 degrees. Next up, we've got the T5 Prograde Plus at 37 degrees exactly. And the lowest recorded temperature was with Arctic's MX5, which had a lowest temperature of 35.5 degrees Celsius. Again, if you take 23.5 degrees off of these, that will give you your delta temperatures, or temperature over ambient. I would say they're all pretty good. I would not say any of them are particularly bad, and having one coming last and one coming first kind of is a little bit misleading. If you look at the results there, we're looking at a maximum of around about 2.5 degrees between them, so it's not a huge spread, it really isn't, but obviously there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. With that said, the real test is going to be the high temperatures, because that's the ones we're more concerned about. Most people aren't really concerned how low they can get their processor, but they're concerned about how hot it's actually going to get. So let's take a look at the high temperatures. So as you can see again, there is clearly a winner and a loser, but also there's a pretty even middle ground as well. So the highest temperatures recorded in joint last place is the T5 Essential at 67.8 degrees C, and also Arctic's MX4, which is coming again exactly the same at 67.8 degrees C. So I think it's actually pretty good because Arctic's MX4 is a particularly good pace. It's been around for a long time and it's very trusted. So for the T5 Essential to actually come in pretty much bang on exactly, I think that's done particularly well. And again, being the price point it's at and how easy it is to use, I think one of them does deserve to be slightly higher up the ranking than the other. But anyway, let's look at the others and see how far away they are from that. So obviously the next one is going to be, I would arguably say second or third place, which is going to be the T5 Prograde Plus, which had a highest recorded temperature of 67.5 degrees. Now, of course, that is only 0.3 away from the other two, so it's not a huge difference, but it is a difference overall. And of course, there has to be a winner, and the winner in this particular instance, by 0.1 of a degree, is down to Arctic's MX5, as you can see there on the end. So although the graphs do make it look like there's a big jump between them, literally they are all essentially the same temperature, 67 degrees C. So are we being limited by the cooler, the processor, or the actual surroundings? Well, I'm not entirely sure, if I'm completely honest with you, but what it has shown is that even though these are what you would possibly consider a more budget-orientated brand, they still can compete with the big boys that have been on the market for an awfully long time and have a particularly large market share. So MX4, MX5, or T5 Essential, or T5 Prograde Plus, which one should you use? Now, I've got to be honest with you, when it comes down to using computer components, parts, anything at all, anything that makes my life easier gets slightly elevated against the others, even if they perform slightly better. So for this particular round, I would say my particular winner is actually going to be, strangely enough, the one that did the worst, which is going to be the T5 Essential, because of the consistency of it. The consistency of that thermal interface material is absolutely brilliant. It's super easy to work with, it spreads really easily, it's very easy to clean off as well. It doesn't have your CPU stuck on like super glue, so if you are regularly moving your CPU cooler or whatever it is you're doing, maybe if you've got a water cooling loop and you're regularly taking it off and replacing things, actually the T5 Essential is probably going to be your better bet in terms of actually how you can work with the components. If, on the other hand, you're going to be someone who is just going to install the processor, install the cooler, and that is it, you're going to leave it for a good few years, then arguably your choice is going to be down to MX5 or it's going to be the T5 Prograde Plus. There is a slight price difference. You do find with the Akasa ones, you get 5 grams as their kind of default, whereas with the Arctic ones, they generally come in at 4 grams. So again, price per performance and price per gram is going to come into it a little bit. But I think realistically, the real takeaway of this at the end is all 4 of them are actually really good and there isn't really a bad one to choose from. But certainly, if you can, definitely take the Akasa for a test drive and see what it's like in your system. So there we go, there is the results, there's my findings and my personal feelings. Again, as a daily user, I think I'm probably going to end up with the T5 Essential. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section below. If you've liked this content, don't forget to smash the like button. If you've got any comments or questions about other thermal compounds that we could test, let us know. Always interested to hear those. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.